I'm Richard Randall, and welcome to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. This is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado's Real Estate Authority, Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb Schlinker is a pilot. And Barb and her team enjoy all that Colorado and the Front Range have to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air Your Real Estate Voice every Saturday. And if you can't listen to the entire show, it is always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or go ahead and search Barb on most of the popular podcast platforms like iHeartRadio, etc. Every week, Your Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of your largest assets, your home. Barb, what are we covering today?
Well, Richard, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the market at first, as far as, we've got all these predictions out there that this is going to be the hottest real estate market in the country, but it's not behaving like the hottest real estate market in the country right now. So we'll go over what's happening now and also what the experts are predicting to happen in 2025. And I think there's a bit of good news for everybody. Also, the next topic is what improvements add the most value to your home when you're selling your house. We get that question an awful lot. Should I put in this? Should I put in a tankless water heater? And some things buyers will pay for, some will not. Another one that a lot of people don't realize is solar systems, $35,000 to $50,000 to put them in. And yes, they will save you on your electric bills, but if you're going to sell your home within a few years, you have to pay that system off before you close. So that's usually a big surprise to people that think it's going to add value, when the truth is the buyers just will not pay more money for a solar system versus a house that does not have one. And those salespeople for solar, they are really good. They could talk a dog off a meat wagon. So I just know from my own experience, buyers aren't going to, they'll be like, oh, that's nice, but they're not going to stroke a check for another $35,000 or $50,000 just to get that. The third thing we're going to cover is the important things that you should know before you list your house for sale. We are going to cover on that some of the questions that you should be asking the agent you're asking to handle the largest asset. For some reason, people call me when they get frustrated with their agent and tell me their experiences. And so we'll kind of dive into some good questions that might prevent you from making those mistakes. And then the last thing is fun, the top 6 seller mistakes that can cause your home not to sell. And as always, I love covering our hot new listings. Richard?
So, Barb, the real estate market has had some recent turmoil, which could be good for buyers and not so good for sellers. So, Barb, what are some experts saying about where the housing market is headed in the new year?
Well, we'll look at kind of what the market's doing sort of by county. And what we're seeing in El Paso County is that basically the prices are relatively flat from a few weeks ago. The average days on market, however, continues to go up. Right now it's 100 days in El Paso County. Now, what that number represents is the number of days it takes for a home to go under contract on average. It only includes the homes that are going under contract. The ones that are not, they're just still sitting on the market. So we're seeing a little bit of quieter buyer activity. They're kind of sitting on the sidelines right now, waiting for the rates to drop or the prices, whichever happens. And we're seeing kind of the same types of numbers in Douglas County. The average price in Douglas County, or median list price rather, is like 825,000. Average days on market 103, and that is up from 2 weeks ago. Same thing with Teller County. Prices dropped a little bit in Teller County, not a whole lot, but the average days on market went up to 146 days. That's a long time to wait to get a contract on your home. And Pueblo County is kind of more of the same. The median list price is about 350,000. The average days on market, 114 days. That's actually up by 5 days from 2 weeks ago. And the trend is really that pending sales, of course, have been down these past couple of weeks, but a lot of that has to do with the season. There are fewer buyers that want to buy a home over the holidays. So that's some of it. Unless the market was red hot like it was back between 2021 and up until probably the end of 2022, we were seeing really good months for December, but not this time. And some of this absolutely could be seasonality. And the inventory of available homes is trending down a little bit from what it was this summer. So there are quite a few people that are electing to take their house off the market over the holidays. I heard a statistics this morning that over 83% of current home owners have a mortgage interest rate below 5%. So if they're going to make a move, either upgrade or downsize or whatever their choices are between now and the next year, to consider where the rates are. If the rates are higher, if it's going to cost them more to do that, they're kind of reluctant to put their house on the market. And interest rates absolutely drive everything. We've seen the rates go up and down. It's kind of on a daily basis, but right now it's hovering just above 7%. And all the experts are saying if we see the rates drop down next year into the low sixes, into the fives, the buyers are going to come out in force. So that's exciting. So, but the market right now really is that there are more choices for buyers. Buyers are negotiating more concessions. Sellers have more competition. And obviously, it's taking a lot longer to sell. That's why it's absolutely critical that you get all your 4 Ps correct when you're selling your home. Preparing it for sale, making sure that the buyer can't critique the home. It needs too much work. It's dated. It's this, it's that. Picking the right agent is very, very important. Some people really don't have the skill to look at a picture because that is your first showing, the online pictures, and say, oh, that doesn't look right. We got to fix that. Pricing is absolutely critical. And then making sure it's promoted, the right pictures, the right marketing, the whole story. So if you are selling now, the best thing to do is price your home very realistically. And that means that your home is less likely to sit on the market month after month after month. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And what we're talking about is why home prices are going to really lead the affordability challenge along with interest rates into the rest of 2025. And next up, we're going to talk about what some of the national experts are saying, like Housing Wire, about where they think the market's going to go. If you are thinking of making a move right now, I have over 28,063 buyers in waiting just on my little website looking for homes. So there's still buyers out there looking. Typically, I can match at least 700 buyers to any home that asks me to handle the sale. So if you want to discuss that, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Now, Barb, we're discussing the current real estate market and how people can be prepared if they want to buy or sell for that matter. What are some of the real estate analysts saying about how the 2025 real estate market is expected to go?
Well, the first one that everybody's heard about in the news is Realtor.com's economic analyst came out and predicted that Colorado Springs would be the hottest real estate market in the country for 2025, which is very exciting. They're expecting existing sales to go up by 27%. I hope that's true, but when I kind of dove into the basis for their argument, they really didn't have a lot of empirical data. It was just more, well, the prices are lower in Colorado Springs than they are in Denver and Douglas counties. Um, and Trump is going to be inaugurated January 20, and he's going to fix the economy and people will have more disposable income, and that there's a large buyer population in the Colorado Springs area that can buy homes with little to no down. So those are all good. It's good to know. I just talked to a seller yesterday that is in Florida, and their story is completely different. They are awash with competition, and new construction competition that the builders are just kind of selling their souls to move product. And so their home is just sitting on the market. Nobody's looking at it. So, I've sold a couple of homes for them in this market before they went to Florida. So they're calling me asking me to help them not list it, but at least give them advice on what to do. And it's a different story. Every real estate market is different. Not, you can't really look at it on a national basis because it's a local game. It depends on what neighborhood, it depends on what market you're in, it depends on the job scenario, it depends on the attractiveness of the community, which we absolutely have a very attractive area to live here in the whole Front Range of Colorado. But basically, that hottest market prediction, I think, didn't have a lot of facts behind it. And what was interesting when I read some other articles from those economists, Richard, you'll find this interesting. They were kind of whining about the proposed tariffs, expecting that that could hurt the real estate market. Do you believe that?
No, I mean, it seems like politically they get involved in things that shouldn't be political. It ought to be what is best for the average American.
Yeah, and it was just weird. It was like, okay, whatever you're thinking there. But in general, they are hoping that the rates come down in 2025. If we see a drop below 6, the buyers are going to come out in force. And that's because they know the lenders, sometimes the sellers, sometimes the builders are offering incentives to get the buyers to go under contract, and they can use some of those closing cost funds to negotiate an even lower rate than the current market rate right now. So the good news is, compared to 2023, sales were up nationwide. Not so good as towards the end of the year, sales were down. So probably the net difference might be up by 4%. And the data analysts are saying that they expect the first couple of weeks of January to be, the same kind of thing that we saw in the holidays. But then late January, the market's going to pick up again. So that's great. It's good to hear that. So what buyers should do, they should get themselves ready, get themselves financially ready. Check your credit, make sure your down payment is ready to go. Be shopping, be looking for that right home. And I would not wait. Do not wait if you see the right house. You can always refinance almost for free. That's one thing. What sellers should do is be like the builders. Builders offer unbelievable incentives. They buy down the rate, they pay their closing costs. They also have a brand new fresh product. Okay. So be prepared for concessions. Be prepared to have your home look as good as it can, especially if you're up against new construction competition. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900. I have over 28,063 buyers in waiting just on my little website. Plus we have cash buyers, and we can solve most real estate problems out there. So just give us a chance, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. A short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about what improvements add the most value to your home when you're selling a house here in Colorado. And I have no idea because I forgot, after all of that, I put it up on a certain stand and all that, and I forgot to start it. So,
I showed 1346.
oh, there you are. That's doable, right?
How's my sound?
I think, well,
Like I was saying before, it's a little tinny and it's going to add a different kind of dimension than we usually have, but we can definitely work with it.
Okay. Can you fix it for me, DJ?
I'm not going to fix it too much.
I'm like, is there
it'll
anything
say,
you can't do?
well, it it also sounds a little bit robotic if I add too much to it. So
Uh, okay, I'm ready for round two.
I am as well. And I think
I
this time I'm actually ready to start my clock. What the hell?
one.
Never mind. It turns out I did start my clock. I didn't think I did. I'm good. Barb, looks like
I'm
she's
ready.
ready. All right. Count us down in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, most people assume that buyers are willing to pay top dollar for homes, even if they have not been updated. So, what are some home improvements that can help sellers make the very most money when they do sell a house?
Well, the truth is buyers are not that way. They want everything. They want everything fresh, new, move-in ready. They don't want to have to spend any money on houses. Even if you're offering a really discount on the home, um, they still will pick it apart. So it's really important to get your house ready to show. And that just involves a little bit of cosmetic work to make it look good. There's some minor improvements that really can make a difference of your home selling quickly or it's sitting on the market for a long period of time. So it's really, you don't necessarily have to do a full-on rehab, but it's definitely worth the effort to make it seem fresh and move-in ready. And that's part of what we do. We give home sellers a free in-home consultation on what to do, what not to do to get their house ready for sale. We give them a really good idea what price range it will sell in and how much they'll put in their pocket when it sells. So if that's something that interests you and you're thinking of making a move in the next 3 to 9 months, give us a call. We'd love to talk with you. So there are certain updates that really will bring you substantial return on your investment. Number one is neutralizing paint. So most people can paint. Um, I can't. I'm not very good at it, but I'm just saying it's not that hard. If I put my head to it, I probably could do it. There's kind of, I was watching one of these design YouTube videos recently, and he was saying a trend right now is to completely immerse a room in these deep, rich jewel colors, like this deep slate blue or greens, emerald green, or anything dramatic like that, even reds. Um, it's okay if that's what you want for yourself. It might be okay for a one-off room like a study, but you don't want your major rooms to have a dramatic color because that's all it takes to make buyers go, oh, it won't work for me because they can't visualize their style in that home. Let me give you an example. I had a listing a few years back and it was neutralized. It looked great. It sold in one weekend. We got over asking price. Everything was fine. And at the same time, one of my colleagues had a listing, similar price point, similar area, and it just sat on the market week after week after week. And he's like, what am I doing wrong? I said, let me look at the pictures. And sure enough, they had an accent wall that was turquoise in the dining room and an accent wall that was, I want to say, mauve or kind of a pinkish color in the living room. And I said, you have to ask the sellers to neutralize those two walls because that's enough for a buyer before they come see it to say, oh, it needs too much work. So they did that, boom, sold right away full price. It's just really weird how a little thing like that can make a difference. Wallpaper is one of those things that dates a home many times if it is older wallpaper, although it is coming back. If you talk to designers, it's a thing now. If you go to the parade, if you went to the parade last year, you probably saw some wallpaper. But in general, if it's heavy, it's enough for buyers to turn their nose up. I had a listing last year, this time of year, and they had a border in the master bedrooms, just a little strip of wallpaper around the top, but that was enough to date the home. They also hadn't freshened up their carpet on the main level. The basement was new, but not the main level. So that was enough for buyers to just turn their nose up. As soon as they corrected those two things, boom, went under contract, full price right away. Another thing that you can do that could update an older home that may have something like wood paneling that actually dates a home, especially in photos. We've seen a lot of people actually paint wood paneling a white or a creamy white color, and it takes on this kind of look of, like a seaside shiplap sort of thing, which is very popular. So it's a simple thing that you can do. The same thing with some people paint brick if the brick looks too dated. Um, and curb appeal is like the number one room that buyers look at before they decide to come see your home. So that's really important to get it right. It's a little bit more challenging in the winter time because all the excuse me, I'll say that again. All the yards are dormant. The leaves have dropped. The mulch is blown away. So if you are going on the market, you go ahead and freshen up those as best you can. If you haven't painted the front door, warm day, and get that done. Make sure your doorbell is not broken. We see that all the time where the doorbell gets tracked, in this dry climate. And then it gives this bad impression when the buyers are walking up. So you don't necessarily have to have landscaping, but you can do it with mulch or even fake flowers would be enough. And make sure the backyard looks great as well. Again, same thing in the winter time, but you can clean up the yard enough so that they can see it. And I do recommend that if you have some of your own photos of how the yard looks in the summer, provide those to your agent. We could put those online. The buyers want to see what it's going to look like, especially if you have a robust garden or that kind of thing that you want to show off. Any deferred maintenance on decks really stands out. Like if a lot of decks absolutely need paint as you go through the winters. And it doesn't matter the age of the home. If your buyer is going to get an FHA or a VA loan, the appraiser almost all the time is going to call out any peeling paint that they see on the outside of the structure or the outbuildings. So like if you have peeling paint, most of the time we see it around the edges of the garage or around the front door, the back door. It's an easy touch up to deal with that problem head on. And flooring's absolutely critical. Buyers want to move in, drop their stuff, get on with their lives. They don't want to do any work. They don't want to spend any money. So I get the question all the time from sellers. They'll say, well, can't we just give them a carpet allowance? What if they want to put in their own luxury vinyl or whatever? And yeah, there are those few occasions when a buyer might, in fact, pull out brand new carpet and put in their own thing. Okay, but you would not have got them to make an offer if you had not done that. That's what I believe. I could be wrong, but that's been my experience. Things like carpet that has traffic areas really stand out, especially on pictures. Hardwood floors that have traffic areas, heavy traffic really show. Any tired, ripped vinyl. Carpet in the bathrooms is very unattractive for buyers, and there's pretty inexpensive fix that you can do for that. You can go get pieces of luxury vinyl or you can have a flooring company do it where they will give you remnants and you could fill a master bathroom with luxury vinyl. I had a client do it last year and she got 50,000 over asking price. So updated flooring, luxury vinyl is very, very popular. And there are many things that you can do. Bathrooms are critical as well, especially master bathrooms. So just freshen it up, brighten it up. You can update things like lighting and plumbing fixtures at a very low cost. Maybe paint the cabinets if they look tired, and make sure the flooring looks good. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and we're talking about some home improvements that are really critical that will help a buyer pay top dollar for your home. And remember, right now, your competition is new homes, right? They have everything fresh and new, and they're giving away a lot of incentives to get buyers to sign their contracts. So you have to compete with them. And next up, what we're going to talk about are the two interior rooms that are probably the most important to buyers. So we will hit that. We will rules of thumb about bathrooms. Just look at the competition. You have to compare the price range. Like if it's in a lower price point, you don't necessarily need granite or Corinthian leather or anything like that, but you want it to be fresh, move-in ready, and not broken. And sometimes just little things could make it attractive, like light fixtures. Maybe you could replace the Formica with an updated Formica. That won't be as expensive as granite, but it'll look like granite. So there's some cool things like that that you can do. And you know, we can also guide you through that. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
To Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And you can always reach Barb at 719-301-3900. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about important things to know before listing your Colorado home. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss that. I've got us at 10:30.
Yeah, I don't know what I did with this segment.
No, it's fine. It
I
just,
just kept droning on. We never had a break with us in between.
I know, but
We
I
could,
don't think
if
it's
you
a
want, we
problem.
can add like a minute of banter. And could you insert that, DJ?
Of course.
What do you think about that?
I think it's fine. I was going to say we could have a little bit of extra time for the next segment, but I like the banter thing. You always banter well. It makes it more conversational anyway.
All right. Um, so let's talk about bathrooms for a second. Ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Let's talk about bathrooms for a second, Richard. What are your thoughts on what things look attractive to you in a bathroom and what are just definitely a deal breaker?
Clutter is just such a problem. You always talk about that and using photos to kind of reevaluate things. But until I talked to you, Barb, I had no idea why so many home builders were adamant about putting carpeting in a bathroom. I don't know a single person who wants carpeting in their bathroom, but it does make sense, at least when you were a builder trying to save money.
Yeah, I mean, they do it to save money, but it's not what the buyers want, that's for sure. And clutter, you know, it's weird. I look at a lot of pictures of other agents' listings, and I'm not sure everybody really studies, you know, what the buyer's viewpoint is on a property. I talk to people that are buying homes in other areas, and I'll ask them, okay, so how much time do you spend looking at one house? And typically, it is less than a minute. It might even be less than 30 seconds if they don't like the first 5 or 6 pictures. And when I meet with sellers, I'll highlight some of those bad photos that repel buyers. Like I had one during the boom that put this bathroom on the market, and in the center of the bathroom was a very big kitty litter box. Would that turn you off, Richard?
I have a cat. And yes, kitty litter box goes into one of the bathrooms, but I have to tell you, that's okay for me to live with. I wouldn't want that in a photograph if I were looking at buying a home and seeing that there. I would almost smell it just by looking at it.
Yeah, and you know, it's easy just to put those things away for the photos. And there are quite a few people that won't go see it just because they're allergic to cats, you know. So it didn't make sense to me, but it was fun to make fun of that. The bathroom also had clutter, like you mentioned. So it's easy, and the way you do it, you take a picture, you look at the picture, or have your very blunt friend look at the picture and tell you what they think, and that will give you an idea on where you need to go.
I think, is that good enough? Yeah, I think that's good. I actually realized after I said something that I was kind of preempting a little bit of what you say. I didn't mean to do that.
Oh no, it's okay. It's fine. I don't mind. I
But
don't mind.
it is true. I mean, we've got a cat, and that is exactly where the thing goes, and that's fine if you're just living there. But if I'm looking at buying a home, even though I have a cat, I don't want to see that there. And
I
I
love.
don't the carpeting thing, it still creeps me out. And at least now I understand why they did it. Doesn't make it right, and actually kind of pisses me off even more so. But the fact that they had at least some logic in doing that.
Yeah, our first house here had carpet. Ugh.
I'm pretty sure almost everybody did, don't you think? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm trying to think back. How about you, David?
Linoleum.
See, I don't know how you could go. Honestly, Barb, I don't want to delay things, but
Really, really cheap linoleum.
well, and
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. Is there a huge difference between what you would pay for linoleum as opposed to carpet?
I don't
I
think
I would
so.
have
I
to
think it's
defer.
cheaper.
I
That's what I'm
I don't
thinking. I mean,
I don't think I've ever bought any, I've
Yeah.
inherited some, but
well, I can see where, if you're going to put tile in, that's much more expensive. If you want to put, wooden flooring in or something like that. Oh, well, you were right
Oh, well.
again, I guess is what I'm trying to say. As always, you're right again.
Okay, ready for the next one?
All right. Yep,
did
I'm
I
good.
print it?
I'll count us down in three, two, one. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or real estate, and it does it with the host of the program, Barb Schlinker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, I know many people ask you questions when they're getting ready to sell their homes. What are the top questions that home sellers should be asking before they put their home up for sale?
Well, Richard, right now, the way the market is, unless a home is really underpriced or really special, it's taking 4 times longer to sell a home. And there's a lot fewer buyers just because of the affordability issue. So, it's more important in than ever. It's more really like a buyer's market now that they get those 4 things right, pricing it right, preparing it right, and making sure you hire an agent that knows how to promote it right. Some people just don't, and that's okay. Maybe they don't study it. But let's talk about some questions that should be asked when you're talking to agents. First question would be, how do you help me prepare my home for sale? We do this with all of our clients. We'll give them tips. Sometimes I give people that aren't my clients tips, but we'll take a look at it. I actually have an interior designer look at it. I don't just use me because I'm not as artistically wired as a designer would be that could see things that I don't see. So we'll give you really good ideas on how to get ready for photo day because we don't want your home to be repelled by the photographs. And then we'll, of course, give you a good idea on what price range your home will sell for and how much you'll put in your pocket. The other question I get very frequently is, what's my home worth right now? So some sellers base their value off a lot of different things. They'll base it off of what the tax assessor says it's worth. The only problem with that is that the tax assessor is supposed to be 2 years, 1.5 to 2 years behind the current market. And guess when that was? That was the middle of 2022 when the prices were a lot higher. There were bidding wars on everything, both between buyers and investors. So it was kind of an artificial high that took place, and the tax man jumped in on that and said, "Oh, we're going to reassess your value. So you're paying taxes now on a value that probably doesn't exist anymore." It's softened a bit since then in most cases. At the end of the day, the buyer decides what they're going to pay for a home. Um, but some agents will, all they can do is use empirical data. Let me say that word again. Use empirical data, which is similar sales that have sold. The problem with that is when you have a market softening or correcting, that data is old data, right? You have to look at what's trending right now, what homes are getting contracts right now to make that decision properly. So we make sure we provide really empirical, excellent data that gives a seller a really good idea of what's going to work and what's not going to work. As an example, we just helped a home seller in the Black Forest area that they initially priced high, and he had a logical idea on what it was worth based on square footage or what it costs to build. It wasn't market value. It was just a kind of like what he thought based on his own logic, right? And so it didn't work. And when they finally did lower the price, the first offer we got was really a buyer that could not perform. And that buyer's agent didn't give us all the information. When I said, okay, so this is contingent on your client's home selling. I can provide offers for that home so that you can buy this one without a contingency. She was not interested. She didn't even want to present them to her client. And then I said, so where are you going to price that home? She goes, well, I don't know. I'm like, what? You don't know? And she goes, but it's really pretty and it has granite and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay. And then a week later, it goes on the market. And no kidding, Richard, that house was at least $150,000 overpriced in my estimation. Now, wouldn't that just make you mad if you just took your house off the market for something that couldn't possibly sell?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you are in tune with the average person, whether they're buying, but especially if they're selling, and you look out for them as fiduciary relationship. Yeah, that would anger me.
Yeah, but fortunately that deal fell apart because they asked for a little too much on the inspection and they wanted to get back in under contract, but I said, now we knew what price they had priced their home. And I said, I just don't see it happening, not while we're still kind of young. And also, I can call the lender and see if it's possible for them to buy it without selling their home. And the answer was no. So we moved on. I found the buyer for the house out of the 6,300 agents in this Pikes Peak market. I was the only one that brought him a buyer and it closed and everything went fine. So it requires the perfect set preparation, price, and
Losing
picking
you.
the, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it's unstable. Let me see what's going on here.
So it was the system was unstable as opposed to the host of the program.
All right, Wi-Fi should be SchlinkNet.
Actually, well, I'm going to stop my clock for a second and run to the men's room real quickly.
All right. Are you losing me now?
I am not, but I lost my host. So
Okay.
he ran to the restroom.
Where did you lose me?
Um, you were talking about preparation, and I
Oh,
think you were about to start talking about the consultation.
okay. Um, I'll just start back over on this slide. It really requires a perfect setup.
Okay, let's go.
Is he back?
He's not, but you're going to be talking for a minute. So,
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. It really requires the perfect setup of preparing your home for sale, pricing it right, making sure it's promoted right. And don't just rely on, you can look at the pictures and of course you're going to like them, but have a friend and family look at it. Have them give you a real critical look at those pictures and make sure that's right, because that is your first showing online. Buyers are deciding whether or not they even want to be bothered to come look at your home based on those pictures. And picking the right agent is absolutely critical. And what we're seeing right now is a big increase in the average days on market. Back during the boom, the average days on market might have been, you know, 10 days, 5 days, 11 days. It was really, it was like a week, right? And now it's in El Paso County, the average days on market 100 days, Douglas County 103 days, Teller County 146 days, and very similar for Pueblo. So what does that mean? That means that if you need to sell now and you don't want to wait for the average, you might want to price it very aggressively. The other thing that we're seeing, which I believe some of this is seasonal, is the pending sales have dipped. So we just came off the three big holidays, basically. A lot of people have plans, traveling, all that kind of thing. So I think there's going to be an uptick in sales probably sooner than we think this year. And here's the problem with pricing and looking backwards at historic sales. There's a massive turnover in the number of people in real estate that are in the business as quote professionals. 87% of the agent population get out of the business every 5 years. Okay. So if you look back on the last 5 years, overall, the market's been pretty good. They've never seen a market correct like it's doing right now. And honestly, I don't think they know what to do. So they're telling their sellers, oh, don't worry, your home is worth this much. Sellers think they're the experts and they know what's going on. They put it on the market and they wait, and it just doesn't work. So about half the sellers are reducing their price right now, and the rates are still up a bit. They're about little over 7% for conventional, maybe 6.5% for VA and FHA. But in general, if you're on the market's going to give you clues immediately. If you don't have any showings, you're at least 6% overpriced, probably more. If you're getting lots of showings and no offers, you're just a little bit off, maybe 2 to 3%. If you're getting some offers, but they're not good offers, you're probably off by 2 to 3%. And if you go 10 days without showings, we miss the number. It's not right. Or you miss the number if you're doing it right now. Or if you're getting low offers, you miss the number. So you want to motivate all the buyers out there to make an offer if it's the right home for them. And so don't be surprised right now that the offers are coming in with strings attached, like higher closing cost, because the buyers can ask the seller, they might pay the asking price, but they'll say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, will you cover 10, 20,000 of my closing costs so I can buy down the interest rate and have a lower payment? So the other thing that I've seen before recently was some of the agents really don't know, as a buyer's agent, how to realistically manage expectations. So I had an agent that asked for huge concessions, seller agreed to that. Then they brought in a roofer to look at the roof, and the roofer gave a bid to replace the roof. And she goes, oh, this is such a good deal for a new roof. I'm like, okay, great. So seller filed a claim, and the insurance company said there's nothing wrong with the roof. So we had another opinion on that, because usually insurance companies are not as motivated to do that. So I brought in a roofer that I trust, and he's going to tell me if the roof needs replacing or not. He looked at it. He goes, the roof is fine. So now we're like, well, wait, what kind of game are you playing? You go in and just throw out a bid for a roof and tell your buyer to expect a roof. And it was that caused the deal to fall apart, because she didn't manage expectations properly and actually gave a fraudulent bid to try and get stuff for her clients. So we're going to check on those things. And if the buyer was all in, she would have understood that, but it didn't happen that way. Another thing that can derail a contract would be a contingent sale. Meaning you have to wait for your buyer's house to sell before they can buy yours. And that's okay to do that if you don't have any other choices. And as long as you've done your due diligence and verified whether or not that home is going to sell. And that's kind of iffy right now in this market. So another question we get a lot about is, why should I stage? Is it important to stage? Why can't I just show it empty or whatever? And really, you want the buyers to visualize themselves in the home. Make it like a model home as best as you can. You don't want your house to be eliminated based on the online photos. So that's what we help people do. So give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, we're discussing the top questions that a home seller should be asking when they're getting ready to sell their home. Everyone knows that I've been recommending you for years now. Tell us, what are some key questions that a home seller should ask from a real estate agent?
Well, I would ask them how many. I think a good question is, how many homes have you sold? You know, a lot of agents don't want you to ask that question. Another good question would be, what do you know about what's the difference between assessed value and market value and appraised value? We had an appraiser say my house was worth that much last year. Is it worth that much now? Those are good questions to ask to see what their working knowledge is. And then another question I get pretty often is, how long of an agreement should I sign with you? A lot of people feel committed once they sign like a 6-month agreement or something like that. You're not necessarily committed. There is a cancellation clause in the state contract if the agent is not performing to what they promised they would do. But there's not a whole lot of promises in the state form. So you just want to have that discussion if that's important to you, and be able to make a change if you think they're not the ones helping you get the home sold. And then you also might want to ask about, what about showing the home? Some agents will tell you, oh, the home's got to be available all the time. Whenever somebody wants to show the house, you got to drop your stuff and get the kids and dogs and go. Not necessarily. I don't believe in that. In fact, I think a home that's more exclusive, less available to be shown, is more attractive, because the buyers really want to get in. And that's who you want. You want a buyer that really wants it. So I think you have to make it work for your schedule. That's one thing. But in general, you can expect that most buyers are going to try to look at the home over the weekend time period. So just at least be ready for that. And then we help people kind of make those decisions. So we sit down, we do a free in-home consultation on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale, go over all the closing costs, and give you a really good idea how much you'll put in your pocket when it sells. Just give us a call. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. That's Barb Schlinker, host of the program, and with your home's hold guaranteed realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Or if you want that free report, top 10 questions to ask before you hire a real estate agent, go ahead and visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Go to the green button. It'll be in the upper right-hand corner. It says free reports. Click it there. When we come back, we'll be discussing the top 6 seller mistakes that can cause a home not to sell, plus Barb's hot new listings. You don't want to miss those.
He was like a big seller one. I got this new iPhone, which is like
What number is it? Like an 18 or something? 16?
16.
16. And you
I don't
like it
know.
or not? Sounds like you might not like it as much as you had hoped to be liking it.
They always take a
I
while
like
to set up.
texting on it because the buttons are, better, but there's a lot to learn. That's all I have to say.
And I'm not the only one. You had a BlackBerry before, I'm assuming, right?
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I still like the fact that you had raised buttons on that thing. I
Yeah,
know,
you feel it.
yeah, it just, I don't know. I by far preferred that. I guess if I had my way, I would have a combination of that plus an iPhone, but it still does tick me off. Remember when Obama came in, he liked his BlackBerry so much that they didn't, how was it? Maybe he liked his iPhone so much.
Gave him an Obama phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and he didn't want to change, and they had security reasons for whatever they had wanted him to do. And all the other presidents,
Right.
everybody were on board with that. But of course, they changed everything just because he wanted his way. Go figure.
Ah, yeah, that's just brutal,
All right.
but okay.
Um,
One
let's
more.
see. I'm ready to go. How about David's ready to go? He's rolling. You're good, Barb. I'll count us down in
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. It's the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with the host of the program, that is Barb Schlinker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, most home sellers have a great deal of love for their properties, and sometimes that can translate into an unrealistic belief, resulting in mistakes that could cost them thousands or even keep the house from selling. What are the top 6 seller mistakes that can cause a home not to sell or to sell for far less than expected?
Well, first of all, a lot of people have an idea in their head, and some will look at things like Zillow and Realtor.com to figure out what their home is worth. But at the end of the day, it's not Zillow, it's not Realtor.com, it's the buyer that makes the offer that decides what it's worth. Okay. So if you're not getting offers, something's not right in the mix. It could be marketing, it could be pricing. But I can help sellers solve those issues if they have those problems. And you have to really take a look at the home through a buyer's eyes. So if you're presenting the home that needs work, a lot of buyers just they're getting in with all the cash that they have. They're just going to pass on a home like that. The National Association of Realtors says 41% of buyers will not even go look at homes that look like they need work because they don't have the extra financial resources or time to do it. And if the home is overpriced, the buyers can see it. All of that data is available. You go to Zillow, it's going to show you what they think the value is of all the homes around it. And they pick up on that right away. So the buyers are pretty well educated these days with all their online things. So I'd say the number one mistake that a lot of sellers make is they don't make important improvements that get the buyer willing to make an offer. I just sold a home that needed some work. It had some painting issues, wall paint, cabinet paint, sparkle black cabinet paint. But they did replace carpet. They did neutralize the black basement walls and ceilings, and just fixed the basics. But they still had it priced very low. And I was really quite surprised that some of the people that looked at the home still said, even though it was priced probably 50 to 60,000 below similar size sales, that it needed too much work. And I'm like, well, painting doesn't cost that much money, even if you hire a good professional to do it. So, but it's just a thing about they don't want to do the work, and or the agent really wasn't dialed into what the market value was when they showed the home. It could be either, it could be both. So I would say consider realistic upgrades. Some people themselves, which is great. Um, really onto cosmetic improvements like carpet, um, painting, neutralize the paint, make sure the cabinets are in good shape, the counters don't look broken, the appliances aren't mismatched, those kind of things. If you don't do those and you're getting feedback like it needs too much work or it's overpriced, it's probably a condition issue. And I've had some sellers actually make improvements after their home was on the market. So those homes took longer to sell, but we did sell them once those improvements are done. So it's okay to do that after the fact, but definitely make sure the photos are refreshed. I see this all the time, Richard, where I'll see pictures in July of homes that are showing snow on the ground. Have you ever seen that?
I have, and yet that is honestly a big deal, and it just does not represent a home very well at all.
Yeah, I remember I had an out-of-state buyer ask me once, does everybody there live in a cabin?
Hmm.
I'm like, no. So it's pretty funny, but they don't, if they don't live here, they don't know what it's like. And if they see snow on the ground in July, they're like, is it snowing there in July? I mean, maybe it could happen on occasion, but it's really not common. So, but probably the top mistake that I would say most home sellers make, especially right now in this really slowly dropping, dripping down market that we have, is to overprice a home and not price it aggressively enough to get a buyer. Most sellers want the most money. I get it. But according to national standards, if you price a home too high and slowly walk the price down, you're going to net less money. So you're always better off being the best home in the neighborhood, the best priced home in the neighborhood. That will make the process go a lot quicker and you'll be happy. And generally, the buyers are going to be really motivated to make it happen. My name is Barb Schlinker. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice, and the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyers. team. And what we're talking about are the top seller mistakes that may cause a home not to sell. And next up, we're going to cover the rest of the mistakes and how you can avoid making those mistakes if you are thinking of making a move. And if you are and you'd like to get a free in-home consultation on what to do and what not to do to get your house ready for sale, get a really realistic idea of what your home will sell for and how much you'll put in your pocket when it sells, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
So, Barb, what are some other mistakes that home sellers make that might cause a home not to sell or actually not sell for the price that everyone would like?
Well, pricing is probably the largest and most frequent one that I see, even with my own clients. They don't listen to me. They'll say, my house is worth that much because the tax assessor said it was worth that much. And then in their mind, they've already spent their net proceeds on whatever they plan to do next. And I wish it worked that way. I really do. But at the end of the day, it's what a buyer will pay. So it's you will always get more money and you won't have to wait months and months and months if you price it what I call realistically versus optimistically. Don't price it according to how much you're going to put in your pocket. Price it according to what a buyer will pay in the next 30 days. That's how you win. That's what I believe. I call it Goldilocks pricing, just right, not too low. You don't want to be too low. I had one home that we priced a little bit low, and that was just because it definitely needed some work. There were some systems not working, like their little split air conditioner, and the boiler was getting old. But he priced it very aggressively, and similar sales were between 550 and 6 down in the Broadmoor. We priced it at 505 and it sold for 35,000 over asking price in just a few days. We had 87 people show up at the open house. Great location, but it needed a little work. And a buyer's like, hey, we'll take that because it's got all the other issues. Or if you price it just slightly high, sometimes it's just a little bit. Like if you're already on the market and you're getting showing, maybe a couple of lowball offers, you're just a little bit off. It might just be 1%, maybe 2%, but it's time to make a move if you're not getting the offer that you want. And pricing it realistically, generally, it means if it sells very quickly that you priced it right. We had one down in the southwest part of town on Oak Creek, really cool home, and comps were all over the place. There was almost $100,000 range in that neighborhood of similar sales. So they priced it just right, kind of not necessarily at the lowest end, but sort of in the middle, just below 500,000. Good crowd at the open, 36 people showed up. It sold in 11 days at full asking price. So we can help you do that. Another mistake that we see a lot is that if the agent really doesn't pay attention to the images, there are still agents that use their smartphone to take marketing photos, and that's a huge mistake. These professional photographers know how to dial in the right lighting and get the right angle to show the home in its best light. And it's enough to repel a buyer, I know for sure, because I've taken over listings from people that had bad marketing and was able to sell it at almost the same price right away. Selling home definitely is a lot harder than it was 2 years ago. Pretty much everything would sell. I just met with a buyer yesterday and he's from the DC area and he goes, oh, that house that I sold a couple years back in this market, if we moved it to DC, that home would be $2 or $3 million. So every market is a little bit different, but a couple years ago, most things were selling and really quickly, and that was because the buyers could afford the payments. Now, they're thinking twice about are they going to, give more of their monthly income to a house or not. So it's absolutely critical that you price it right. And buyers won't make a commitment just because they like it. They have to love it. So you have to help them love it. And we can help you get ready for that. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call, 719-301-3900, or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Barb, it's time for your lightning round of some of your hot new listings. Tell us about them.
Well, I have a really adorable townhome, 7035 Yampa River Heights, that's open today, 11 to 12 at 274,999. It's 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, backs to open space. Great, great home. Move-in ready for sure. I have another one owned by the VA that's priced in the low threes in that area. Actually, I have a couple of properties owned by the VA right now. One on Wallowing Way in the mid threes. I have a beautiful home on Ithaca Street in the mid threes. It's over 2,800 square feet. A gorgeous home on Hunter Jumper. This thing is nearly new, has a very modern vibe to it, very small yard, so low maintenance yard, priced in the mid fours. We also have a beautiful bi-level on Splendid Circle, priced in the low fours. And we have a gorgeous property in Briargate on Camfield in the mid to upper fours, backs to open space with gorgeous views. A spectacular home on Sunbird Hills Drive, priced just under 1.6 million with a 5-car garage. A beautiful 2-story on Delmonico Drive. We just lowered the price to $699. And then we have a gorgeous home on 1379 South Mountain Estates Road. I'm sorry, gorgeous lot priced at 70,000. This lot's ready to go. It already has a well, so check that out. It's got gorgeous views. And another lot, a couple of more lots down in South Fountain. So if you want to find out about all of our listings, you can go to barbhasthebuyers.com and just look at our featured homes and see if there's anything that works for you, or give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You've been listening to Your Real Estate Voice. It airs every Saturday, 11 o'clock, right after Cudlow. If you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. And you can see replays of the show at barbhasthebuyers.com or listen to podcasts on all of the podcast platforms like Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, many, many others. Thanks for listening. And to reach out to Barb, again, give her a call at 719-301-3900. Barb, you have a great weekend and a great start to the new year.
Thank you so much. You as well.
All right. As they say, picking them up and laying them down. Thing is. All right.
Rawhide after that?
What's that?
Are you gonna yell raw?
I know, right? Yeah. Head them up, boom out, boom out, hit them up. All right. It's funny because some people remember that from Rawhide and some people only know it from the movie Blues Brothers, and some people don't know it at all. All right. Why home prices lead the affordability challenge? Improvements that have the most value, selling your home, important things to know before listing your home, and top 6 seller mistakes that can cause a home not to sell or for sell for less. What are you thinking, Barb?
Maybe before listing the home one.
Yeah. All right. I like that as well. All right. I'm going to take the headphones off here for a second. Ugh. And I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, airs every Saturday, 11 o'clock, right after Cudlow this weekend. Barb's going to be talking about the important things that you must know before you're selling your Colorado home. Don't miss it. I felt like a little bit short, so I threw a don't miss it in there.
I liked it.
Okay. Should be good.
All right, you guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And are you going to see your son again, or is that come and
He's
gone?
here. Yeah,
Oh,
he's here.
nice.
We're enjoying his company for a couple more days before he goes
You know
back to
what?
the grind.
Oh, I know. Both of my kids came home and it just feels so good. Then
It's nice.
I'll let you guys spend time with him and have a great weekend, great day, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, you guys have a
Yep,
good
bye.
celebration tonight. Bye-bye.
My daughter was just, I'm like,